When Congressman Brad Sherman heard about Elizabeth Warren's report revealing the true cost to taxpayers of bailing out some of the biggest banks,
Treasury substantially overpaid.
he got mad.
Basic taxpayers have been screwed to the tune of about $78 billion.
That's a shortfall of about $78 billion.
They have identified each transaction, how much we got screwed.
So when Sherman got his chance to question some of the bailed out CEOs, he gave them all printouts of Warren's report, but then focused his anger on the company that had shortchanged taxpayers the most, Citigroup.
So I'll ask the gentleman from Citibank particularly, are you content to just sit there and say, sorry, we gave you too little securities, we're happy that we gave you so little and we're not going to give you more? Why are you unwilling to issue additional securities to make the taxpayers fully compensated?
Congressman, I haven't looked at this analysis. Would like to look at the numbers, and I haven't done that. I don't know where these exactly where all these numbers come from. But
that comes from the Congressional Oversight Panel and the hearings of last week.
I think Brad Sherman is real focused, as he should be, on the question of are the folks who elected him to office having their pockets picked and having money handed over to wealthy to wealthy people, Americans, non-Americans, and is that really necessary?
This is Damon Silvers. He sits on the Congressional Oversight Panel with Elizabeth Warren. And by any measure, Silvers is one of the best informed people on the planet about the bailout.
In the transactions that Congressman Sherman was talking about, did the taxpayer in that transaction itself get a security that was worth the money that we paid for it? And the answer was, in most cases, no, and in some big cases, a really big no. Okay?
The biggest no was Citigroup. And when compared to the other financial institutions, Citigroup looks like it's getting special treatment. Take a look at the numbers. U.S. Bank got $6.6 billion from Treasury for an estimated $6.3 billion in assets. Wells Fargo got $25 billion in return for a little more than $23 billion in assets. But Citigroup got $45 billion for only $25.5 billion in assets. The only other financial institution that underpaid Treasury by more was insurance giant AIG. They received $40 billion for about $15 billion in assets. But with AIG, the government got an 80% stake in the company, and in the process, AIG's managers were fired, and its shareholders were wiped out. But Citigroup shareholders have survived 2 government bailouts. Citigroup got its first $25 billion in a program reserved for healthy banks. But 5 weeks later, they came back for another $20 billion, just to keep from going bankrupt. And Silvers says the government's decision to prop up Citigroup a second time while sparing its stockholders was unprecedented.
The United States had never taken the position that it was a matter of public interest whether or not the stock of a particular company went up or down or disappeared entirely. Right? That change occurred with the second Citi transaction. Right? The change was that we started spending public money to rescue stockholders. Right? Now, that's not consistent with how market capitalism is supposed to work.
We need to impose the right limits not only on those who receive the money in the future, but those who receive the money in the past and are still holding on to it. And to say we got ripped off to the tune of $78 billion, but by God, we made them come before the cameras, that's kind of silly.
It may be silly, but it could be what's happening. Citigroup is back again, asking for a third bailout. And it looks like they're about to get it. But it remains to be seen whether the $19 billion Citigroup shorted taxpayers will end up being considered a down payment on a Citigroup takeover, or perhaps just a forgotten gift to Wall Street.